Have you ever tried milling Inconel 718 on a hobby-grade CNC machine? In part 1, I turned these parts on my mini lathe, and today I'm finally taking them to the milling machine to cut their final geometry. I'll show you what went wrong, what worked, and everything I learned along the way. Hi guys, I'm Alfonso. I've been an engineer in the space industry for more than 40 years, and now I'm sharing my passion for CNC hobby machines. To finish the turbine disc and the nozzle guide vane, I have to use very small end mills, 3 and 4 millimeters. And when you combine tiny tools with Inconel 718, things get difficult very fast. I started with a 3mm 5-flute Haas end mill made for nickel alloys. Before touching the critical features, I tested it on the outer profile of the turbine disc. The results weren't great. The flutes are so small that heat builds up almost instantly, and the tool didn't survive the first tests. I also tried 2 low-cost end mill brands. As expected, the results were even worse, lots of burrs and poor surface finish. So I switched to a much better tool from Emuge-Franken. With this one, I prepared the 4th axis to machine the turbine blades, which is the most complex part of the turbine disc. At the beginning, everything worked smoothly, but after about 1/3 of the operation, the tool lost its edge and finally broke. And when it failed, it also destroyed the 4th axis 0 point. so the part was ruined. Time to start again. For the second attempt, I changed from coolant to cutting oil and reduced RPM and cutting speed. This combination finally worked. And after a long and slow process, the turbine disc was completed successfully. Next was the nozzle guide vane. My plan was to rough with a 4mm tool and finish with a 3mm one. To machine the second side, I used 2 lateral holes as reference points for rotation. Unfortunately, I made a big mistake. During the final pass, I accidentally used a 4mm tool instead of the 3mm finisher. I realised it very late, about 90 degrees into the operation, so the part could no longer be used. Still, I decided to finish the process to review the complete machining workflow. There's also a small area that cannot be reached even with a 3mm tool. This section has to be ground manually with a Dremel to complete the final shape. After that, I cut the M3 threads around the perimeter. Overall, I'm very happy with the results so far. I'll need to remake the NGV in Inconel. I already ordered new material. But meanwhile, I also machined it in stainless steel, 330. And compared to Inconel, this was a completely different story. It felt like a simple job. And this steel version can also be used as a functional part. My key conclusions are Inconel 718 can absolutely be milled on hobby CNC. Tool quality is extremely important. Cutting speeds must be very slow. Burrs are always present and require manual cleanup. And this step brings me much closer to completing the turbine. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please give it a like and subscribe so you don't miss part 3 of the RC turbine project. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.